This week on Capital City Sports, the Gamecock football team travels to Athens, Georgia to take on the Georgia Bulldogs. Also, the women's volleyball team is home to host the Carolina Classic. It's that time of the week. It's time for Capital City Sports. Welcome to this week's edition of Capital City Sports. I'm Garrett Lash. The Gamecock football team traveled to Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia on Saturday to take on the 7th-ranked Georgia Bulldogs. The Gamecocks are fresh off a home loss to Kentucky, while the Georgia Bulldogs are 2-0, looking to knock off their rivals between the hedges. Now I'm going to send it off to Stan, who's out in Athens, Georgia. Stan?
After a disappointing loss last week against Kentucky, South Carolina travels to Athens, Georgia as they take on the Bulldogs and sophomore sensation Nick Chubb. South Carolina breaks in a new starting quarterback in Perry Orth, and they hope to get it done on the road. Let's take it to the highlight. On Georgia's first possession, the Bulldogs gave the ball to their speedster Isaiah McKenzie, who got a first down and set them up in prime scoring range. Sky Moore stood up Heisman hopeful Nick Chubb for a loss of 2 yards, which would set up a field goal by senior kicker Marshall Morgan, making the kick and gave UGA an early 3-0 lead in the first quarter. South Carolina had a promising first drive on their first possession, but ultimately ended with an Elliott Fry field goal, tying the game at 3. Next possession for Georgia, Grayson Lambert hit J. Rome for a big first down to the 2-yard line, which gave way for Chubb to cap off the drive with a touchdown, making the score 10-3 Bulldogs. The Dogs continue to run the ball, this time with sophomore Sony Michelle, who outran the entire Gamecock defense for his first score of the game and increased Georgia's lead 17-3. South Carolina wouldn't give up as Perry Orth finds tight end Jarrell Adams for a 15-yard gain, setting him up in good field position, and 2 plays later, Orth scampered his way to the left side of the end zone, barely making it in, making the score 17-10 Georgia. Georgia's offense would continue to roll as Lambert connected with Malcolm Mitchell for 14 yards. Mitchell caught this 5-yard touchdown, increasing Georgia's lead to 24-10. On the ensuing kickoff, Sean Carson returned the kick deep inside Georgia territory following a 15-yard face mask penalty, and with no time left in the half, Elliott Fry drills a career-long 51-yard field goal, making the score at halftime 24-13 Bulldogs. Georgia was never fazed as Chubb would rumble for a 31-yard gain down to the Gamecock 11, and on the next play, Lambert found Michelle for his second touchdown of the game. This would continue to be the Bulldogs' day as safety Dominic Sanders picks off this Perry Orth pass and returns the rock down into the Gamecock 11-yard line, setting up this touchdown pass from Lambert to Michelle once again. The Dogs dominated the game, winning 52-20. Here is quarterback Perry Orth after the game.
I thought we moved the ball at times, pretty effectively. We had a few things here and there, but I think we're still a young offense. A lot of guys haven't played too much. Tonight was my first career start. So we just got to keep moving forward.
Georgia quarterback Grayson Lambert set an NCAA record tonight, completing 24 of 25 passes, which adds up to be 96% completion percentage. That is something the Gamecocks have to fix as the season moves along. Next week they take on the Central Florida Knights in Columbia. For Capital City Sports, I'm Stan Smith.
Thank you, Stan. Now moving on to other sports. The Carolina women's volleyball team was home to host the Carolina Classic this weekend. The Carolina Gamecocks, losers of their last 4 volleyball matches, try to get back to winning ways against the East Carolina Pirates on Friday.
Thanks, Garrett. After a tough road game stretch in Ann Arbor, Michigan, the Carolina Gamecocks returned to their home court, looking to start off the Carolina Classic right with a victory over the East Carolina Pirates.
South Carolina comes into the game at 4-5, hoping to get another win under their belt against a tough ECU Pirates team. The Gamecocks immediately got off on the right foot, behind the play of 6'3" freshman Courtney Furlong. With the momentum on their side, South Carolina continued to make big plays when it counted. As the old saying goes, Big players make big plays in big games, and South Carolina's Dessa Legros and Darian Dozier were none the exception. This seemingly unstoppable duo provided the Gamecocks with a much-needed spark throughout the evening. Not to be outdone, senior Sarah Blomgren out of Canyon County, California, shows her spurs with this decisive spike. The Gamecocks would show little mercy to the Pirates in the third period, propelled by the efforts of their three-headed monster, Legros, Blomgren, and Dozier. While junior Yoli Cabrera may be the smallest player on the team, standing just 5'6", she is by no means short of heart. Her third ace of the game locked up the winning match point. An energetic crowd of 1,365 packed the Carolina Volleyball Center Friday night.
After a convincing victory today against the East Carolina Pirates, the Gamecocks look to ride the momentum into tomorrow's contest. For Capital City Sports, I'm Seth Lanford.
Thank you, Seth. On Saturday afternoon, the Carolina women's volleyball team continued in the Invitational against the Charleston Southern Buccaneers. Now I'm going to send it out to Lauren, who's at the Carolina Volleyball Complex. Lauren?
The Gamecocks are coming off a sweep against East Carolina in their first game of the Carolina Classic. Next up, they face off against Charleston Southern. The Gamecocks lead the all-time series between the two teams 6-0. They're looking to keep that streak going. The Gamecocks jump-started the match with a short lead over Charleston Southern, but put themselves in a hole with mistakes and lost the first set 23-25. The Gamecocks and Buccaneers were neck and neck throughout the second set. Charleston Southern showed solid defense that kept the score close, but strong play from the Gamecocks put them on top 25-21. The third set was dominated by the Gamecocks as they gave themselves a cushion and maintained their lead throughout the set to win it 25-13. The two teams entered the fourth set with the Gamecocks looking to finish the match and the Buccaneers looking to force a fifth set. The score was knotted up as both teams went back and forth scoring. The Buccaneers managed to lengthen the set as they fought back, but the Gamecocks ultimately overcame their efforts, winning the set 25-20 and the match 3-1. Leading the Gamecocks offensively were Sarah Blomgren with 16 kills and Darian Dozier with 15 kills. Defensively, the team had 13 blocks, and juniors Jolie Cabrera and Coco Otoa Williams finished with 22 and 15 digs respectively, which were season highs for both players. The Gamecocks will be entering their third game of the Carolina Classic on a hot streak. This one was a tough one to pull out, but hopefully their momentum will carry into their second game of the day against Wofford. For Capital City Sports, I'm Lauren Schwartz.
Thank you, Lauren. The Carolina women's volleyball team looked to close out the Invitational against the Wofford Terriers. Now I'm going to send it out to Carson, who's at the Carolina Volleyball Center. Carson?
Tonight, the Lady Gamecocks are hosting the Wofford Terriers in Game 3 of the Carolina Classic. The Lady Gamecocks are coming into this game with a 6-5 overall record, and they're 2-0 in the tournament so far. Meanwhile, the Wofford Terriers are coming into this game with a 7-6 overall record, and they're also 2-0 in this tournament so far. So whoever wins tonight's game will go undefeated in the Carolina Classic.
The Lady Gamecocks are coming into this game with a lot of momentum. They are fresh off of a 3-0 win over East Carolina and a 3-1 win over Charleston Southern. Set 1 started off with solid defense and 3 kills from junior Dessa Legros, and South Carolina won the first set 25-19. Wofford put up a good fight in the third set with many aggressive defensive plays and saves. Freshman Colleen Riley led the Terriers with 3 spikes and 9 kills. But in the end, costly mistakes and errors lost it for Wofford. South Carolina was able to hold the Terriers to a low hitting percentage and won the third set 25-19 and therefore won the match 3-0.
The Lady Gamecocks went undefeated in the Carolina Classic after beating the Wofford Terriers tonight in 3 sets. In the first set, the Lady Gamecocks won 25-19, and in the second set, they won 25-14. They sealed the deal in the third set when they won 25-19. They'll take on Coastal Carolina next Tuesday, September 22nd at 6 p.m.
That concludes this week's episode of Capital City Sports. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at CCS on SGTV. For all of us here at Capital City Sports, I'm Garrett Lash, and remember, go Cox!